Picture this. It's the final week of the 2026 NFL preseason. Normally, right about now, the guys you've invested tens of millions of dollars into are bubble wrapped, they're locked away in a hyperbaric chamber until week one. You do not risk your franchise on meaningless snaps. Historically, this final exhibition game, it's just a desperate, muddy proving ground for the undrafted rookies, the practice squad guys fighting tooth and nail for the last couple of spots on a 53-man roster. But what's happening right now in Indianapolis is completely defying every piece of conventional NFL logic. We are witnessing a desperate, high-stakes tactical gamble being broadcast on live television, and it revolves around a guy who, just a minute ago, was supposed to be the undisputed face of this franchise for the next 10 years.
So you gotta ask yourself, why? Why on earth would you force a highly touted quarterback, a former number 4 overall draft pick entering his 4th NFL season, to suit up and take actual hits in a completely meaningless exhibition game against the Detroit Lions? Look, in the modern NFL, a quarterback with this kind of elite pedigree, a guy who commanded over $30 million in fully guaranteed rookie cash, well, he usually exists in one of two states by year 4. Right? He is either your entrenched, untouchable franchise star, sitting comfortably on the sidelines with a baseball cap on and a headset, or he's been labeled a complete bust and is already off the roster. But Anthony Richardson? He is trapped in this weird, unprecedented purgatory. Head coach Shane Steichen just confirmed an absolutely fascinating game plan. The established foundation of the Colts offense, current starting quarterback Daniel Jones, and star running back Jonathan Taylor are in the bubble wrap. They are resting. They aren't going to see a single snap against Detroit. Meanwhile, Anthony Richardson isn't just getting some reps, he is starting the game. And here is the kicker. The Colts are deliberately putting him out there alongside the vast majority of the Indianapolis first-team offensive starters. Think about that for a second. He is technically a backup right now, but he's being handed the keys to the Ferrari for one afternoon, completely shielded by the starting offensive line. To really wrap our heads around the extreme gravity of this coaching decision, we need to look back at the wreckage of the last couple of years. Which brings us to Section 1, the fall from grace. How exactly did we get here? Let's rewind a bit. Indianapolis completely handed the keys to their offense to Anthony Richardson the very second they drafted him back in 2023. He was the undisputed future of the franchise, no questions asked. But that future, it got derailed repeatedly. His time under center has been defined by a really frustrating combination of relentless medical setbacks and, honestly, deeply inconsistent play when he actually was healthy enough to take the field. Those crucial, absolute baseline developmental reps he desperately needed in 2024 and 2025, they just vanished into rehab stints. Eventually, a franchise has to pivot if they want to survive, and they ended up turning the offense over to Daniel Jones. And Jones, well, he did exactly what Richardson couldn't seem to do. He injected a baseline of absolute, system-compliant stability into Shane Steichen's offense. The Colts reached a critical mass. They couldn't afford to just sit around, cross their fingers, and hope Richardson's development would magically click into place. They built a roster that was ready to win now. It's the maddening duality of Anthony Richardson as an NFL quarterback that led to this fracture. I mean, his physical talent has never been a secret. You watch the tape and it just jumps off the screen. We are talking about a generational athlete, a guy who can effortlessly launch a 65-yard deep ball off his back foot, magically escape a collapsing pocket while huge defensive linemen are hanging off him, and physically punish opposing linebackers when he takes off running. But there's the other side of the coin, and it's what ultimately forced the Colts' hand. It was this persistent, nagging problem of completing the routine everyday passes. And look, if a quarterback's completion percentage is hovering dangerously low because he simply can't hit a quick slant on 3rd and 4, well, the highlight reel plays don't matter. They don't sustain scoring drives. In this league, you literally have to hit the layups or you're going to the bench.
That leads us into Section 2, the ultimate trade audition, providing a clean evaluation. The folks over at Yardbarker recently dropped a report on this, and they put it incredibly bluntly, quoting here, "That is not subtle." And you know what? They are absolutely right. Hit the nail on the head. In the hyper-analyzed world of professional football, literally nothing happens by accident. When a coaching staff deliberately surrounds a demoted quarterback with premium, first-string talent in a game that doesn't even count in the standings, they are sending a glaring neon-lit message to the other 31 general managers in the NFL. They are putting their product right in the front window, and they are turning on the absolute best lighting possible. Scouts from quarterback-needy teams, maybe franchises sitting with thin depth, or front office looking for that explosive lottery ticket, they are undoubtedly circling this game tape right now. The underlying strategy behind the starting lineup is honestly brilliant in its transparency. See, if the Colts trotted Richardson out there with a second or third string offense, which, by the way, is standard operating procedure for a preseason finale, any potential trade partner could easily just shrug off a terrible performance. They'd watch the tape and say, well, yeah, of course he struggled. His offensive line was a sieve, and his receivers are guys who are going to be cut and selling insurance by Tuesday, right? But by surrounding him with a starting offensive line and the starting pass catchers, the Colts are eliminating every single excuse. They are constructing a completely pristine environment. If he plays well, it proves to the rest of the league that he can still operate a starting NFL offense. If he fails, well, there's absolutely nowhere left to hide. This quote perfectly captures the sheer essence of this weekend's machinations. The Colts already know what Richardson can do. Saturday may be about showing everybody else. Think about it. The Colts front office and coaching staff have watched Anthony Richardson inside their own building for 3 full years. They've charted every single practice rep, they've scrutinized every meeting room interaction, and they've meticulously analyzed every game day decision he's ever made. They do not need a few quarters against the Detroit Lions in late August to figure out who this guy is. They already know. This upcoming Saturday, it isn't an evaluation for Shane Steichen. Not at all. It is an active, live-fire advertisement broadcast directly to every single quarterback-needy franchise in the National Football League. Moving on to Section 3, a returning weapon, raising the stakes of the showcase. Now, a massive development just broke out of the Colts practice facility this week, and it is a real game changer that exponentially raises the quality of this upcoming audition. Shane Steichen delivered a highly encouraging and completely unexpected report regarding wide receiver Alec Pierce. So Pierce has been totally sidelined throughout this entire training camp. He's been battling this remarkably stubborn ankle issue that actually lingered all the way over from the 2025 season. The initial medical expectations, they were pretty grim. Reports were heavily suggesting Pierce might miss the entirety of 2026 training camp and the preseason. Yet, Steichen just announced that Pierce is shockingly returning to practice this week. And for a quarterback who possesses Richardson's massive arm strength, getting your primary vertical deep threat back on the field, that completely changes the entire geometry of the offense. I want you to really think about what this means for Anthony Richardson's time on the trade block. Pierce's sudden and unexpected return drops a legitimate, proven, starting caliber weapon right back into the lineup, perfectly timed for this final exhibition game. If the entire goal for Indianapolis is to give Richardson a flawless supporting cast so opposing scouts get a pristine evaluation, well, adding Alec Pierce to the mix is the ultimate final piece of the puzzle. Imagine if Richardson hits Pierce on a beautiful, soaring 50-yard bomb right in stride. What does that do to his trade value? A single play like that can completely rewrite the narrative. We are literally talking about translating one explosive preseason highlight into tangible dollars and premium draft picks. And that brings us to Section 4, the franchise's next move, the brutal business of football. 24. That is Anthony Richardson's age right now. Despite the relentless injuries, despite the fundamental struggles reading defenses, and despite losing his starting job to Daniel Jones, he is still exceptionally young. And let me tell you, in this league, age paired with raw physical potential, it is the absolute most intoxicating drug for an NFL coaching staff. There is this deep inherent arrogance among offensive minds in professional football. They'll look at a broken prospect with a cannon for a right arm, and they will truly believe, down in their bones, that they are the one specific genius who can fix him. We've seen this historical precedent time and time again. Think about Sam Darnold being dealt to the Panthers for a package of picks, or Trey Lance being shipped off to the Cowboys for a 4th rounder. The Colts know this coaching arrogance exists out there, and they are leveraging it right now to create immense value out of thin air. Because when you break it down, the logic for Indianapolis to execute a trade right now is just overwhelming. Richardson simply isn't going to regain the starting job in Indy unless Daniel Jones suffers a major injury. And sure, keeping a former number 4 overall pick as a backup might feel like preserving a shiny insurance policy, but in reality, it's just delaying the inevitable while his trade value depreciates by the week. So what exact draft capital are the Colts actually hoping to recover? Well, looking at recent market trends for distressed former top picks, Indianapolis is probably aiming for a solid 3rd-round pick, or maybe a conditional 2nd-rounder that escalates based on how much playing time he gets in a new city. Moving him now recovers vital assets they can use to build around Jones while simultaneously giving a 24-year-old kid the desperate restart his career absolutely requires. It's a win-win. But there is an even bigger, more urgent reason they need to act. Because if they don't move him now, the Colts are staring down a massive, looming financial cliff. The rookie contract clock in the NFL is entirely unforgiving. Entering his 4th NFL season means Richardson is walking into the final base year of his rookie deal. The financial implications of that are terrifying for a front office. If they just hold on to him as an expensive backup, they are very quickly going to be forced to make a drastically more expensive decision. They'll either have to navigate a complicated and pricey contract extension, use a heavily bloated franchise tag on a guy who doesn't even start, or watch a former number 4 overall pick walk away in free agency for absolutely nothing. That ticking financial clock is the secret underlying engine driving this aggressive showcase strategy today. They have to recoup their assets before the price tag makes it literally impossible to move him.
The NFL is a brutal, unforgiving league where the window to correct a franchise-altering mistake is incredibly narrow. This Saturday, it isn't just a preseason game for the Indianapolis Colts. It is a high-stakes, multi-million-dollar negotiation broadcast on live television. The real question we're all waiting to see is how will one single quarter of a meaningless exhibition game alter the fate of two entirely different NFL franchises for the next half-decade? Now, if you want to stay ahead of the curve on the brutal realities and the behind-the-scenes machinations of the league, make sure you subscribe to NFL Nexus right now. Hit that like button to support our ongoing documentary series. And hey, I want to hear from you. Drop your Anthony Richardson trade theories and your best potential landing spots down in the comments below. For those of you who want the absolute deepest cuts of premium NFL analysis, consider becoming a channel member today. Until next time, keep your eyes on the tape.